Back on terra firma, we find France 24's Valérie Dekimpe at that biodiversity summit. Valérie, Emmanuel Macron to the outside world is the guy who took on Donald Trump defending the Paris Accords on climate change. Domestically, he's had a bit of a rougher ride, being accused of greenwashing at times.
I mean, France has certainly been eager to position itself as an environmental leader at the forefront of biodiversity protection and in the fight against climate change. We heard from Emmanuel Macron just a few moments ago saying that we needed to build greater synergies between the fight against climate change and protecting biodiversity. Now, Emmanuel Macron had already announced that France would commit to putting more than 30% of its territory under protection by 2022, 10% of that under high protection, a target that is a lot more ambitious than what's been put forward by the UN. We saw Emmanuel Macron earlier today, this morning, part of a sea expedition highlighting the problem of plastic pollution. He even announced that he would be hosting another summit, the One Ocean Summit later this year. You might remember the One Planet Summit with this catchy slogan, make the planet great again. Now, whether Emmanuel Macron and France can live up to that promise of being an environmental leader, that's obviously up for debate. You said it, he has been building this image of France being a leader on the international stage, but here at home, he might be perceived differently. He has come under fire, for example, for backtracking on his initial decision to ban the herbicide glyphosate, also for reauthorizing a controversial so-called bee killer pesticide. So definitely the track record of the government has not been all that positive. Now, joining me now here is Pierre Canet, Director of Advocacy at WWF, to talk a little bit more about this summit, but also how France can, lead the way, perhaps. I want to talk about this concept of nature-based recovery. Countries have been investing millions and billions of dollars in COVID-19 recovery plans. France, on the other hand, less than 1% of the country's recovery plan will be allocated for nature conservation. What do you make of that?
Well, the issue is what you actually put on the table for biodiversity action and what actually you phase out also in terms of subsidies harming biodiversity. So the whole budgets from countries need to be revised and reviewed. And France has done some more than other countries in terms of green recovery. But regarding biodiversity, if you look into the budget for next year, if you look at the choices and decisions for agriculture and all the EU package of common agricultural policy, then you realize that there is little done by France in front of what is at stake in terms of pesticides, how you phase out pesticides, how you support farmers to phase out pesticides in transition, how you support as well fishermen. And all of this needs to be integrated in decisions for budgets, sustainable and green budgets. So France has tools for green budgeting, but yet there is a big step to be able to be at the level in terms of biodiversity action.
Why do you think that the loss of biodiversity doesn't receive the same kind of attention by policymakers as it is the case with climate change, for example?
When you look at biodiversity, the main reason of that, the main driver, is the loss of habitats. And loss of habitats is mainly linked and connected with agriculture and food, with also deforestation. And it's also linked and related to overexploitation of resources, if you think about fisheries. And so it's the whole economy that needs to be reviewed and revised. So this is a bold decisions to be taken. This is really a dialogue to get with all the society, with farmers and with fishermen and with economy and corporates, to make sure that the whole society is mobilized for biodiversity. And decisions are ours to take, but they need to be taken within the decade to make sure we reach by 2030 a nature-positive economy, a nature-positive society. And this is not yet what we have on the table. This is why we are here at the Congress, to make sure all decision makers, here it's pretty nice because you have corporates, you have representatives from civil society, scientists, you have countries. We are all at the same level and we can negotiate motions, resolutions. And this is the beauty of IUCN Congress. But then it needs to be translated into decisions, and this is where we expect France to act, and this is what we looked into the statements tonight from the French president.
Right. Thank you very much, Pierre Canet. So you heard it there, the importance of building connections between the fight against climate change and the loss of biodiversity. And really the objective here in Marseille will be how to put money on the table and how much money will countries allocate for the fight against biodiversity loss.
Yeah, interesting. Many